Kids, we're back.
We're back.
We're back again.
We're back again.
And I got 2 new shoes.
Wow. You've got a new pair of shoes, haven't you?
I wanted the same as William, haven't I?
She wanted this, she did. Look at these. These are called sandals. And they're very nice actually because these are the ones that I picked. Look at these, they're beautiful. They've got fishes there, look. And if you go down to the beach, you can wear these things, can't you, darling?
Yeah.
Because they're nice and comfy, aren't they? Don't you think? She's eating a meow-wham again. Look.
I'm showing you curry. Cherry tonight.
Is it cherry? Oh, you lucky thing. Yes, it is. Cherry. Amber's favourite, isn't it? Right then. Now, we're back on the Thomas the Tank Engine books, aren't we? And this is number...
Alice. Looks like
We've
Alice.
read this. We've read Neville. I'll get another one. 44, that is. So we want 43. Oh, babes. Right, if I'm going to do that and spin them all around. Right, I'm going to spin them all around, so this means this one. Hang on, that's 43. What's going on? Murdoch, we haven't read that one. It's all a bit of a mess, this. 49.50, that should be there. 50. Just tell him I'll be back in a minute.
He will be back in a minute.
48, 47, 45, 44. What's this one? That hasn't got a number, so we'll put that at the end. Right. 50, 49, 48, 47, 46, 45, 44. This should be 43. Yes, Murdoch, babes. This is Murdoch. Ah, sorry about that. We're getting our book set mixed up. Because we've got 50 of these. Can you come on, darling? Stop jumping, it's not a trampoline. Come on. Can you come here? Yes, thank you. This is the story of Murdoch. He is a beautiful orange colour. Isn't he a lovely colour? What colour is this?
Orange.
It is kind of orange, isn't it? It's a lovely bronzy orange.
And grey and black.
Yeah. I don't want your hair, thank you. This has hardly been read, this book. You can tell when a book's new because of the pages.
Look at your eggs.
This is a story about Murdoch the Tender Engine. When he joined my railway, he thought the other engines talked too much.
My name. And William's name.
Oh yeah. But he soon realised that they weren't that noisy after all. Amber's picking out the W's and the A's on the page. Because she's looking for the A because her name begins with A.
Look. Mine.
There's lots of A's on the page, isn't there?
Mine. That's my name. My name. And William's name.
Yes, good girl. Thomas, Harvey and Salty loved working at Brendam Docks. Day and night, day after day, cargo ships arrive at the docks with goods from all over the world. This keeps the engines very busy, but sometimes, after working very hard all day, they are so tired that their axles ache.
I just want to see the next video.
Let's sit here, darling. Can you stop, please?
I'm hot.
Go and put the fan on. No. Don't climb across there. Go down and round the bed. Now push the button down on the top. Amber, you're not listening. Darling. Amber, look at Daddy.
Yeah.
Right, the button on the top of the fan. Yeah? The button on the top of the fan.
Yeah.
The button on the... There's a big button on the top of the fan. Listen to Daddy. On the top of the fan. Touch the button down. Looks like a man.
Like here.
No, not there. Round this way. That's it, on the top. Push it down. Push it down. That's it. Now turn it on. That's it. Now come on. That's it. Round. Off, please. Round. See, look. Well done. You did listen in the end. One day, the Fat Controller decided to bring in a new tender engine to help. The new engine was long.
My belly as well.
Put your belly away, please, darling. Thank you, darling. The engine was long and he had 10 wheels.
Look, Kia and Cruz. Look, Kia and Cruz. And Charlie.
Yes, you're
Small
right.
Charlie.
Yes. Do you want to turn it off or shall I carry on reading? I'll carry on reading, thank you. Right, where were we? Had 10 wheels. 10 wheels? This is Murdoch, said the Fat Controller. He's going to pull the goods on the main line. Ahoy, Murdoch! Ahoy, Murdoch, shouted Salty. Welcome, Murdoch, called Harvey. You're the biggest engine I've ever seen, cried Thomas. You're a chatty lot, said Murdoch quietly.
Oh, well, he's at bed.
You can't wear your sandals in bed, darling. You can wear them till we go to bed. Murdoch didn't like chatty engines or the noisy docks. He liked quiet runs through the countryside with just the noise of his engine and the trucks for company. Soon, Murdoch was coupled to a long line of heavy trucks. His boiler strained, his wheels started to turn, and the mighty engine chuffed away.
Can I have a pillow?
When I finish the story, darling, of course you can.
It's not comfy for me.
Not comfy for you now. You're hot, now you're too cold. Or you okay? You want a pillow? There we go. Nice and comfy now. That sounded like Forrest Gump then. Anyway, but Murdoch didn't puff through the countryside. He puffed through a busy builder's yard with banging, hammering and drilling all around him. Murdoch longed for some peace and quiet, but everywhere he went it was noisy and crowded. At the end of the day, Murdoch was looking forward to a good night's rest. But when he got back to the engine sheds, Salty and Harvey were full of questions. "What's the longest train you've ever pulled?" asked Harvey. "Have you ever worked in France?" asked Salty. "Please," chuffed Murdoch, "I want some peace and quiet. I don't want to share a shed with chatterboxes." "Yes, Amber."
Harvey, what is his name?
What's his name?
Yeah, that one.
Harvey, I think.
What is that one?
That's Murdoch.
What is that one?
Salty. Oh, that's Salty.
And who's that?
That's Harvey.
And who's that?
Oh my god. That's Murdoch.
Murdoch.
"No need to be rude," huffed Harvey. "We're only being friendly," steamed Salty. The next morning Murdoch collected another long, heavy train. This time he chuffed into the beautiful countryside. It was splendid. All Murdoch could hear was the gentle rumbling of his wheels and the soothing puffing of his engine. At last he had some peace and quiet. But suddenly Murdoch's driver applied the brakes and he screeched to a halt. There were sheep on the track. Lots of sheep, Amber. "The sheep have escaped from the field," said the driver. "Through that broken fence," added the fireman. The driver and the fireman tried to chase the sheep back into the field. First this way, then that way. Meh, 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 meh. They tried everything, but nothing worked. The sheep were bleating louder and louder. "Meh, meh. It's no use," grumbled the driver. By now the driver and the fireman were very cross and tired. Then they realised that Murdoch's steam had stopped. "The boiler's got no pressure," cried the fireman. "Murdoch's fire has gone out." "I'll go and phone for help," said the driver. The Fat Controller was enjoying his afternoon cup of tea when he got a call. "Murdoch is in trouble," he exclaimed. "I'll send help right away." And the Fat Controller went straight to the engine sheds. Meanwhile, Murdoch was stuck with all the noisy sheep. He was very unhappy. The valley wasn't peaceful anymore. Murdoch has never heard so much noise. But at last the farmer and his dog were beginning to move the sheep away. "Chatty engines are much better than noisy sheep," murmured Murdoch. Just then Salty and Harvey chuffed into view. "I'm glad to see you two," exclaimed Murdoch.
That is Celery Meadow.
"Yes, darling, it is." "We'll get you out of here in no time," cried Salty. Before long, Harvey and Salty were hooked up to Murdoch. Then with a heave and a huff they chuffed out of the valley altogether. That night the engines were back in the sheds. Yes, darling.
Can I watch bedtime story?
Yes, darling. "Thank you for rescuing me," said Murdoch. "I'm sorry I was cross."
After Eagle Piggle.
"Yeah, I'm pleased to share a shed with you, and we're pleased to have you," replied Harvey. "Aye, we are," added Salty. Murdoch had found his peace and quiet at last. There you go, that's the story of Murdoch. Right, will you go and put the fan off for Daddy, please? Can you go and do that for me, because Daddy's too cold? And then I'm going to see if we can find this T and Mo bedtime story. Go to sleep, my baby. It's good, isn't it? Shall we find it? Go on. See ya. We're off ski.